Davis?
Yes, Your Honor, I move that the minutes of October 28, 2014 and November 4th, 2014 be accepted as written.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and seconded that the minutes of October 28, 2014 and November 4th, 2014 be accepted as written. Roll call.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Berthold? Aye. Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. De La Reta?
Aye.
So moved. Minutes accepted. Petitions and communications, Madam Clerk.
No, this evening.
Mr. Davis.
Yes, Your Honor, I move that the rule requiring ordinances and resolutions to be read in their entirety be suspended, and all ordinances and resolutions be read by caption only.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and seconded that the rules governing ordinances and resolutions be read in their entirety be suspended, and all ordinances and resolutions be read by caption only. Roll call.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Berthold?
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. De La Reta?
Aye.
So moved. Rule suspended. Ordinance number 2014-126 by the Building and Grounds Committee, Ms. Turtle, Mr. Paul, Mr. Johnson, for its third and final reading.
Ordinance number 2014-126, an ordinance granting a sign easement from the city of Steubenville to Fort Steuben Corporation LLC.
You heard the third and final reading of ordinance number 2014-126. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state your name and address. Members of council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Berthold? Aye. Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. De La Reta?
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2014-126 duly adopted. Resolution number 2014-136 by council as a whole.
Resolution number 2014-136, a resolution disapproving the solid waste management plan for the Jefferson Belmont Regional Solid Waste Management Authority.
Mr. Metcalf.
Yes, Your Honor, I make the motion that the rule requiring, where's the resolution?
Roll call.
Roll call be adopted by roll call. Ordinance. Thank you. Be adopted by roll call this evening.
Second.
124-136.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and seconded that resolution number 2014-136 be adopted by roll call. Roll call.
Mr. Johnson?
Wait, just for a point of clarification on this, because I think throughout the last several months, we were talking about approving a resolution adopting the plan or not adopting the plan. This resolution in particular says disapproving the solid waste management plan. So if you vote for this resolution, you're voting against the plan. If you vote against this resolution, then you're supporting the plan. Just so everybody's clear.
I'm not clear, what's yes or no?
Yes means plan goes down.
Yes, okay, good, yes. Thank you.
Would you like to address any other issues, Mr.
No,
Giordano?
very clear, I want to make sure I made mistakes.
The resolution is disapproving the plan. A yes vote will mean no against the plan. No vote will be your supporting the plan.
Thank you.
It's the opposite. Roll call.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Berthold?
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. De La Reta?
Yes.
So moved. Resolution number 2014-136 duly adopted. I do want to take an opportunity to comment very briefly on resolution number 2014-136. I think council is completely aware. Several months ago, when I was a part of the Solid Waste Authority board, representing the city as the mayor and also as the acting city manager, I immediately voiced my opposition to to the designation fee that is going to be placed within the solid waste plan. Throughout the last several months, the remainder of 2013 and throughout 2014, there was other actions and other ingredients placed in this plan where I believe all members of council today received an update from our city manager, from the Solid Waste Authority, of other communities in Jefferson County mostly, but also in Belmont County, opposing the plan. One of the reasons I opposed the plan, and the main reason, was because of the designation fee. And as I explained to this council, that will have a direct impact on our enterprise fund, our sanitation fund. And ultimately, with that increase of $2 a ton, we would have to pass that on to our customers, our users, which is our citizens. Over the last several months, and I'm used to this, I have been criticized publicly at different and various meetings. In fact, most recently in Belmont County at the Powhatan Point, Mayor McVeigh indicated to me, well, the word got back to me about my dissatisfaction in trying to mislead people. Well, let me tell you, my primary concern was the residents of the city of Steubenville and the impact that it has. And if people would like to criticize me for defending our residents, so be it. But I'm glad tonight City Council did support not approving the plan that is submitted. Now, quite frankly, the real work begins. Negotiating, I will encourage the Solid Waste Commission that a negotiating team be put together so we can negotiate this and have a plan before the EPA by the April 1, really March 30th or 31st deadline. So with that being said, thank you, Council, for supporting no vote on the adoption of the solid waste plan. With that, that will conclude. Yes, Mr.
Can I say something?
On the ordinance?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Thank you. I won't be as long. I agree with Dom to an extent. No disrespect to the JB, but we have our own problems. We got water in the red, wastewater in the red, sanitation in the red. Half this town doesn't pay taxes at all. They get a check from the federal government, but they're not working. I got my citizens, they're losing their pensions, they're losing their hospitalization. They got pretty tough. The EPA, as usual, mandates that we do something well. They mandate, the governor got a big, big rainy fund. It's pouring out rain, so let's give us a little bit. As far as negotiating, as they said in the Revolutionary War, not one penny might I have.
Thank you, Mr. Diaretta. That will conclude the ordinances and resolutions before City Council. We will now move into the report of committees from the members of council. We'll start off with Mr. Johnson.
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Ms. Curdahl?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Curdahl. Mr. Metcalf?
Yes, Your Honor, meetings. This Thursday's meeting for the final budget will be canceled at 5:30. It'll be moved to Tuesday. We're going to be meeting Tuesday next week, November 18th at 6 o'clock. We'll finalize the budget then. I think council's aware of the death of the family that occurred, so that way our finance director can handle her family stuff. And we wish her family the best and all of our condolences. November 25th, 6:30, so I'm just going to give this all to you now. Frankie, you can make your announcements. 11/25/2014, 6:30 p.m. here, Economic Development Committee meeting. And
When is that now?
November 25th, 2 weeks from tomorrow. As I'm figuring out this Monday. 6:30. December 9th, 6:30 will be finance, answer any final questions dealing with the final permanent budget that will be put before us on December 16th, which will be a special meeting. So we'll have to call that. And also utilities will be on December 16th at 6:30. Yes, yeah.
I'd like for us to get some sort of answer if we are going to move or not move, what it will cost us to move over to the county for the police department.
Okay, that will be under Mr. Paul's committee, and I know that was coming up on the agenda, but the time ran down.
Okay.
And I did leave, I looked at the meeting times, and I left December 2nd. Opens, I know Mr. Paul likes that first Tuesday to do any of his committee meetings, so that will be up to him.
And next year will be the jail. Thank you.
And any other questions on the committee meetings? Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have this evening.
Now, the 18th, the finance is scheduled for 6:30?
6 o'clock next Tuesday, the 18th. We've got to finish our budget, go over other items as well.
The 25th is 6:30.
6:30 for economic development. We're going to discuss brand marketing. Yes.
Finance again December 9th at 6:30.
Correct.
And then the 16th, finalization of the budget 6:30.
Yes, that is, well, no, 6:30 will be utilities on the 16th. We have to have utilities meeting. And then the 7:30, right prior to the sunshine meeting, will be a special meeting to pass the budget. Because that will be a sunshine meeting on the 16th.
You'll have to call for a special
I
meeting.
will call on that on the 9th, yeah. That is correct.
I got it.
December 23rd, December 30th, I hope all the citizens and all of council enjoy the holidays and their family for a well-deserved couple-week break.
Let's get our turkey day over with first.
Hopefully there's snow.
Thank you, Mr. Metcalf. We'll continue on to Mr. Paul.
I didn't have anything, but since the second's open, I'll take that day. That's the only day open. I'll take December 2nd at 6 o'clock for our safety committee meeting, so we can discuss. We left off on subject number 4, and we can either start with that, Mr. Bullen, or we can go back, start with the police reports first, then make that our second, please. If there's anything else in between, I'll let you know. Do the agenda, you do a good job at that. You do a good job. So, but make sure we do that. Make that second, please.
Yes.
Mr. Di Loretto asked. Thank you. December 2nd, 6 o'clock, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Mr. Bill Magna.
Excuse me, Your Honor, I'm sorry. Light up night is December 2nd. We want to make sure that we, that we're aware of that.
5 o'clock? Well, I said let's be here at 6, so
Okay, thank you.
we'll be here at 5. We didn't finish today at 6:30, so I figured we might start at 6.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mrs. Carroll. Thank you, Mr. Paul. Mr. Bill Magna.
Mayor, I don't have anything under your committee, but I forgot to tell you, I wanted to say something under miscellaneous.
We didn't get to miscellaneous.
Yeah, just one.
Thank you. We will continue on with committee reports. Mr. Davis.
Yes, Your Honor, just as a note, this Wednesday at 7 o'clock at the newly refurbished clubhouse at Bellevue Park, we'll hold our monthly Park and Rec meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Dioretto.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Dioretto. That will conclude the committee reports from the members of council. Before we move into the report of the administrative officers, will the clerk please send out the proper notification and resend any notifications that was sent out for any scheduled meetings. Right now, November 18th at 6 p.m., we will have a finance committee meeting. The second one on November 25th, economic development meeting starting at 6:30. Then on December 2nd at 6 p.m., safety committee meeting. And also light up night that evening across the street. At 4 p.m. at December 9th at 6:30 p.m. will be another finance committee meeting to finalize budget and any other pertinent information for the finance committee. The final meeting, December 16th, 6:30 will be a utility committee meeting. And also, at another point, a call for a special meeting to pass the 2015 budget. With that, we will now move into the report of the administrative officers, and we'll start off with our city manager, Mr. Boland.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to talk about one subject this evening that, quite frankly, has been an item that's created a lot of efforts for our acting water department supervisor, Mr. Murphy, and our crews. We've had a significant number of water line breaks on Scioto Drive. Unfortunately, this has led to two boil advisories, one still in effect, impacting Country Club Estates, County Road 26 from Lover's Lane to Detmer Drive. Up to this point, and as I think council will recall, we put together our water system improvement plan early in the year, really focused on 5 streets, and quite frankly, because of the frequency of the water line breaks: Buena Vista, Harvard, Loretta, St. Charles, Aberdeen, Bryden, East Carrollton, County Road 26, and Scioto was actually scheduled to be next in line for replacement after we did these particular lines. However, it does appear that the frequency of breaks on Scioto is accelerating really at a troubling rate. So I wanted to take another look at our list and what we could do to address those problems on Scioto in the short run. Perhaps accelerating our replacement of this line, at least the older sections, to try to get ahead of these breaks. I have asked Mr. Murphy to at least solicit quotes for work in this area, and I'd like to bring that to council shortly. I know Chuck, soil, there's a lot of variables involved. One of them being the soil conditions out there. I'm going to turn it over to Chuck. He's got a visual aid that I think will be very compelling. But we have a line that has 8 breaks at this point in 1 year, and just 3 over the last weekend. I really do think we need to move in a very strong direction in this area for our customers. The issue of multiple breaks on the same lines has been one that's troubled me since I came on board. The frequency of these occurrences is something that I think we need to look very hard and fast at. I've asked Chuck to do whatever steps necessary to get a second opinion from a waterline firm or engineering firm on issues affecting Scioto. And also, as council's aware, we do have the water system evaluation in our CIP, and we're hopeful that our request from the administration is that we do fund that in 2015, but also looking to expand that evaluation to look at things such as our repair techniques, possible need for more surge protection in those areas. We replace one portion of the line, or do we have enough protection so that when that water pressure is back on, we don't just damage a line that is suspect further down the line. So, and training and any other issues. So, I did want to bring this issue up. Without further ado, I'd like Chuck to just discuss what he's done in this area over the last, since Friday afternoon, and a lot of conversations we've had, and then where we'd like to go with this issue on Scioto Drive. Chuck?
Well, as Tim stated, the first line break we had, at least on my watch, was actually in the area of 4690 Scioto Drive. It's right along on our left-hand side as you come off the entry to Country Club and start heading down Scioto Drive, heading south. That line break, knowing we've had previous issues, made the decision to go ahead and replace a full 20-foot stick. So that way, knowing that there's portions of that line that are bad, we can go ahead and minimize the number of breaks being the intent. Because if you have a bad spot right there, normally you might have one or two close by to try and minimize that aspect. To our surprise, basically, after issuing a boil order and then lifting said boil order on Sunday, within just a matter of a few hours, we actually ended up having another water line break 110 feet north of the previous one. So we ended up replacing another 20-foot section in that area there. Brought that back online. Everything seemed to be okay. And then this morning we ended up having another break. So that one we actually ended up putting a pipe clamp around because we didn't have any more 20-foot sections of 8-inch. We'll have more of those coming in here on Wednesday. And what I had instructed the line maintenance crew to do was to actually retain those portions of pipe that we've been actually having trouble with, so we can analyze them, which is something to date that we really haven't done, to get a better sense of why this is going on. Because you're never going to fix the problem until you know what's caused it. And as it stands right now, preliminarily, what we're seeing is this. This is from last night's break. If you folks had better look at it. What you'll see here is this large hole, of course.
Not on the bottom or the top?
This right here, I do believe, is on the top. There's actually two holes in this pipe. This is just one of the two. Okay, now what you also want you to notice is right here. And if you look right here, you see how this is darker? What that is an indication of is corrosion making its way from the outside of the pipe in from the corrosive soils out there, because that is old strip land, as a lot of folks know. And therefore, because of that, it's not good for the pipe. It will corrode it.
What's inside there, Jeff?
This is actually a little bit of a concrete type coating.
No, I mean,
Oh, right there, that's what I was going to go to next. But inside the pipe, as Mr. Bowman has rightly noted, you can see an area right in here. This pipe is not only being attacked externally with corrosion, it's also being attacked internally, as you can see right here.
Yeah, because you're here. This is from the outside. Yeah, from the inside.
And that's ductile iron,
And this is ductile iron, 8-inch.
1960s.
Should be. I know my sewer lines out there date 1965, so I would assume the water lines would be roughly the same age.
That's a newer
that's
subdivision.
that's our newer line.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing I want you to take notice of is all you see is a concrete coating in this. Times past, what we used to do is the old filtration plant fed lime as a softener. That lime also acted as a coating for the water lines. It ended up being anywhere from a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick around the entire circumference of the internal part of the pipe, which then protected the pipe from that corrosion aspect, that spalling you saw inside the line. Once we started feeding the ferric and, as I understand, mostly the orthophosphate with the new plant, it took all that coating off all of our lines in town. So there's more than just one problem here. And we need to go ahead and look very seriously at what can we do to go ahead and restore that coating that once was there, to give that corrosion protection internally. And those are things that we're going to need to talk to a consultant about, pick their brain, if you will, so that we can go ahead and actually get a resolution to the problem instead of constantly chasing our tail.
About 40 years ago, when they built that housing complex out there, like you said, there was a strip mine. When I was a kid, there was a junkyard burning. I told the high power company not to build there. They wouldn't build. They had many lawsuits in the 70s. The houses were falling apart, doors were coming apart. So you're going to open up a can of worms. And I don't know what the answer is.
Right.
But that's probably all hauled down there. And there was some big bucks spent out there. There was some lawsuits. Gary covered.
I mean,
Everybody saw it happen.
yeah, as you know, Councilman Deliverado, that I can't go ahead and help what happened then or how things were done. I mean, we need to go ahead and say, okay, what is the reality of the problem? And reality is literally slapping us in the face.
And what our hope, I think, Chuck, is also to, you know, we've replaced, we're not just localized our repairs, we're not just doing like I don't know, the right local, you know, at 5, 10 feet, we're trying to do large sections, but it's still not really helping us.
Exactly.
So I think one of our suggestions here is, we know the next old line sections, shouldn't we just go forward and replace those in this, right in this stretch, to get ahead of it? And that's where I think you did a little bit of search on the potential cost.
After our meeting today, Mr. Bowman, we went ahead and contacted one of the engineering firms that we deal with who specializes in water and sewer line replacements. And if my memory's right, I think they actually have one of the water line replacement projects, but I'm not 100% certain of that. That said, in that conversation, what was recommended was to go ahead and go with a C900 or a C909 plastic pipe, which is kind of what we're doing in other locations as I understand it, to go ahead and which would eliminate your corrosion aspect that we're dealing with, both internal and external, because simply put, it doesn't rust. Also, it would also help to eliminate future water line breaks because this plastic is more forgiving. It'll move as the ground moves a little more. So you would eliminate a lot of the water line breaks that we're experiencing now. And as far as going ahead and dealing with the coatings aspect, shouldn't be an issue there either. So the thing is, it might eliminate that part. But we're going to have to be cognizant of the fact that you're going to have a transition period, even if you do start introducing another chemical, which I haven't gotten into that depth to figure out exactly what we may need or not need. Again, we need to do that, talk with our consultants and go from there first. To go ahead and protect some of our older lines as we gradually go through this line replacement period over time. So right now, what I would say is we need to go ahead and, there's about 500 feet on that Scioto Drive that we've been had those 3 breaks on and several others, as Tim was rightly pointed out, about 8 just in the last year alone. And I've talked to residents who said, every Friday, Saturday, might as well plan on a water line break last year. That's what they had going on. And as he stated also, surge protection is a concern as far as at the filtration plant with some water hammering issues. We need to go ahead and actually get some surge protection out in the west end where the bulk of the pressure really is rather than at the plant where it's going to be at its smallest because it's being generated there. Okay? So there's multiple aspects to this that we need to be looking at so that we can truly get to the root of the problem and kill it.
So our hope is to bring, get at least 3 quotes, break notes, perhaps sunshine that legislation next week. Check with Stacy. Make certain we're
I have actually already
got the money to do this.
I have already gone ahead and spoken with Stacy after you and I met, making a point of knowing exactly what we could or couldn't do. The estimated, and it's a rough estimate because I haven't met with the engineer on site, but I have spoken to him in depth this evening. Right around $40,000 for construction for about 500 foot of pipe. And then you're going to go ahead and look at around $3,500 for their engineering fees, which all in all isn't too bad. And it's a lot less expensive than dealing with the ducting and all that and the issues that we face with that. But I'll be meeting with them tomorrow. I'll be gathering that. I want to get that specification put together first and foremost so that we can go ahead and contact all the different firms out there that can do this job, get their quotes in as quickly as possible, and then basically get this thing taken care of.
Chuck, that 500 foot, is that straight or is it 90 on
It's not really a 90. What you're going ahead and looking at, you're actually looking at a curve. As you go ahead and come from Pine Valley all the way up to the
when I
entrance.
come in the entrance of Country Club, I'm turning left. It starts right down there by the drive, I believe. Is that where?
Right, you have a valve right there next to a hydrant, right there as you're coming in. Right there at that valve, all the way down, following that curve around on the left-hand side as you're heading south on Scioto, all the way down to the, there's a valve right there at the intersection of Pine Valley and Scioto. That's what we're referring to.
Okay.
So any other questions?
Chuck, that's, Your Honor, the end of my report.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Boland. We'll continue on now to our law director, Mr. Rappel.
I have no report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Rappel. Once again, we'd like to thank department heads for attending tonight's meeting. We had two signing in under miscellaneous, but before we move to those miscellaneous reports, I do want to take this opportunity and mention that as we're preparing for the Thanksgiving season, we really have a lot to be thankful for. However, tomorrow we can pay special tribute to our veterans. I would want to encourage everyone to attend services that are scheduled at the Fort Steubenville Mall at 11 a.m. As you're well aware, 11 on the 11th hour. So we will be gathering at the Fort Steubenville Mall to show our appreciation to the veterans and for the people that are in harm's way as of today, and pray for their safe return. Also tomorrow evening at 6:30, the Hilltop Group has prepared services at the Veterans Park. And again, it's a candlelight service. It's starting at 6:30. I want to encourage citizens, if they can't make it to the mall during the day, to come to Veterans Park in the evening and thank our servicemen and women. If you're not able to attend one of those two functions that are scheduled for tomorrow, in your travels as you run across one of our veterans, of course, thank them for their service that made this country what it is today. With that, we will now move into the miscellaneous reports and to signing in, Ms. Curl.
Thank you, Your Honor. Does have to do with the light up night. I did not put it up under beautification committee, although the beautification committee is going to spearhead it this year. As you've heard, when Ms. Bratton was giving her presentation, she said they were unable to do it. But the reason I wanted to make it is I'm trying to make an appeal to everyone, not just council, not just the mayor, everyone. The beautification committee is going to need help. This is the first time doing such a project. Some of them have not participated in Light Up Night. So I'm calling in all favors. I've already asked the mayor to donate popcorn. I've already called in another restaurant person to do hot chocolate. We need donations of something. I don't even know what I'm asking for, put it that way. We don't know what we want. Meaning, if you're a DJ and you would love to play some Christmas tunes and you want to volunteer that service, we would like to have it. If you make beautiful wreaths or something and you want to donate one because you want to make sure that everybody has a good time and we have a nice giveaway or raffle, please step up and do that. So I'm asking you for your ideas on what we can do for Light Up Night. The beautification committee will meet next Thursday at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. That's November 20th. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Curl, and thank you for taking on that challenge. The city of Steubenville was able to enjoy Light Up Night for numerous years in a row, and they varied in their activities. At one point in time, we had all the homecoming queens from the Ohio Valley, and instead of a rose, it was a nice sickle, and that was the queen of the Christmas parade. That is, by the way, scheduled for the first Saturday in December at 12 noon. I do know you mentioned about the popcorn that for the last few years, two brothers, Tony Corella, has rented a popcorn machine from M&M Hardware, and his store, the dry cleaners, donated the popcorn and the bags and all. Plain Jane's always has chicken noodle soup, nice and hot, and distributes that and all. I'm hoping that people will step forward and we can enjoy Light Up Night on December 2nd. Also sign, I'm sorry, Mr. Paul?
With that, maybe we'll pull our safe meeting back to 6:30 then. I didn't know she had all this planned. I didn't know it entailed, so let's move it to 6:30.
Okay, I'll talk a little.
Okay.
Safety of 6:30, December 2nd. Thank you, Mr. Paul, for that consideration. Also signing in under miscellaneous, Mr. Bill Magna.
Sorry, it flew out of my hand.
Yes, Mayor. I want to thank a couple of people. There was a problem out on Wilson Avenue with some water, some people that were a little bit less fortunate, and Steve Vukalik went out with his son and volunteered his services and dug it up and took care of those people out there. So I think Stevie, everybody that knows Stevie knows he's community orientated. Sometimes he'll argue with you, but he'll try to do the right thing, and he did. He went out there and he took care of the problem, so.
Free.
Yeah, and I just want to thank him publicly for that. The second thing, well, 239 years ago today on November the 10th, in a little place called Tun Tavern in Philadelphia, the Marine Corps was formed, and I would wish them a happy birthday. I have several friends who were in the Marines, and it's a big deal to them and also me and to the country that they were formed. Without that force, probably a little bit less freedom. And the second thing is, my father, several other veterans were wounded, gave blood, limbs, prisoners of war in this community. And there's several of them still alive, and I would like to thank them personally, the ones that are alive. A lot of them are in their 80s and 90s, and I hope the rest of their life is peaceful and they live a good life for the time that they have left here. And I just wanted to thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Magna. That will conclude the miscellaneous reports from the members' council. We will now move into public forum. Is there anyone wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address.
Tree City, Carl Antonio, 407 Lawson. Mr. Boland, I want to thank you very much for stepping up, trying to resolve a problem that's been ongoing up on the hilltop with the trash issue. This has been persistent throughout the years, to the point where the hilltop representatives, including myself and others here who are present, had to take it upon ourselves to take pictures and draw attention to some of the excruciating sites that we've had to deal with for the past 3, 4, 5 years. It's been increasing as time, goes on. We have a problem up there. If you have 32 bags, Mr. Beard, it doesn't make sense just to pick up 8 of them. It really doesn't, because you're going to come back next week to pick up another 8 bags. They're bags. Pick them up. I mean, that's the way I see it. They're light, We're starting now with folks already dropping off mattresses. Okay, dumping them off. Are we going to leave them there until the bulk clean up? It'll only build up and build up and build up. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm asking you folks, I mean, we can help our residents as well. If we give them a place to bring their tires, that would help Sean. So that Sean wouldn't have to get men in trucks to pick up the gathering of tires at a specific, place and bring them to another specific place. Give folks a place downtown where everybody knows or learn that they can take their tires, all year round. And you let residents develop good habits, you let them participate. It's cost effective for the city. There are, we can resolve these problems, but to be reluctant or say, we can't do this or shouldn't do that, is only going to allow the problem to persist. I'm hoping, you guys come up with sure solutions to a problem that's ongoing, whether it's through ordinances, teaching people good habits by helping them know that they can take certain items at specific spots that the city can provide for them. It would help. Also, while you're here, Mr. Beard, I've had people contact me or stop me on the street regarding the leaves pickup. Are we going to have a leaf pickup this year? They just want to know. Weather's been decent the past few days, and it's, was an opportunity for them to rake up some leaves and what have you. Do you have a date?
Yeah, we will be starting. We've done some preliminary stuff, but we'll be officially starting in earnest later on this week and next week. We are currently trying to wrap up some pavement repair work on Lover's Lane while we still have the opportunity in the weather. So that's
here, another thought Sean brought up about, you know, putting up those big trash bins, dumpsters maybe, during months that people are moving. And again, you know, that would help city not have to go down the alley and pick up trash. They can, folks, if they know they have a trash dumpster somewhere on a corner, you might have maybe put them out once every 2 months, 3 months, or whatever. But during the busy season, you know, I think that would help. That was Sean's idea. I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, if we use common sense, I think we can resolve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address.
My name is Sandy Drew. I live at 803 Longford Drive. I'm not sure if this is city business or not, but after almost being killed twice on Sunset Boulevard, people merging onto Sunset by the Credit Union Pizza Hut area, does the city have any authority to maybe put a stop sign there, or have somebody that, I almost got creamed between two cars because the person over there is on his cell phone. He came out onto the highway, never looked, never saw me, and I'm driving, trying to get away from him. The guy over next to me is driving, he's trying to get away from me, and he's getting into the oncoming traffic. We almost had a major collision, and all he could do is turn around and say, "I'm sorry, I didn't see you." No, you can't see me if you have no cell phone at the rear. So I don't know if that's a city problem, or do we have to go to a Ohio Department of Transportation and get some kind of, you know, study worked out there at that intersection?
Well, that falls within our jurisdiction, and you're probably talking about leaving Brady Avenue coming onto Sunset
Exactly.
Boulevard. There is a yield sign there.
Yes, there is. They don't pay any attention to it.
I would completely agree. Maybe the city manager can ask our engineer to look into maybe possibly better signage or some other alternative.
Yeah, Your Honor. Yes, and it's, I've often, you know, it's a pretty severe angle that we have merging traffic there, and would certainly be happy to talk to our engineer, traffic engineer, Mike Dolak, and see what, if anything, we can do there. It's, you know, obviously, it's like there are times when we all want to rely on courtesy of drivers and knowing, being cognizant of the different traffic signs, but if there's a way to help people recognize those, maybe there's some things we can do there. We'll definitely be happy to take a look at it.
I appreciate it. And I like me a lot, and I want to keep you around. I'm asking for 100, and I think you'll be here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address.
My name is Richard Umeni. I live at 4247 Buchanan Road, and I have a water issue with the city of Steubenville. I had an incident at an apartment building that I own where the water ran continuously, and when I approached the water department utility collection office about filing an appeal, they told me that I was on the list and that I have no right to file an appeal with the Water Review Board. I was wondering if anybody would have any type of answer for that, or how I can get this thing taken care of.
Mr. Riccolo.
Yes, I believe you and I talked a few days
Yes.
ago, and
Yes.
I said I'd call you once I took a look at the list, and I'd get back to you. So
Okay.
I'll be giving you a call back.
All right, thank you.
Oh,
Thank
you're very
you.
welcome.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address.
Yes, sir. My name is Joe Summerall, 112 Starkdale Road, Steubenville, Ohio. I'd like to thank the mayor and the city council for what they did tonight when they combated that issue. You guys stuck together, and you let them know where Steubenville stands. I don't know who you got them calls from down the river, you said, Mayor? Thank you.
On the solid waste.
Well, that's what you talked, but I mean, you said you had outside people from down Valera, not Valera, or somewhere down.
I know the mayor of Powhatan Point called
Yeah,
me and
yeah.
told me that a commissioner from Belmont County, who was directed by one from Jefferson County, to attend their council meeting and indicate that the mayor Steubenville's creating all of this headaches and problems.
I don't think you are, Mayor. I think you stood up for the people here, and he can stay down there wherever Kyle had his point. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address.
Real quick, Amy Sweeney, 97 Virginia. With much empathy and sympathy and understanding for those in Sayetta or Country Club with the water line, I see that it's a much smaller project than the other ones that we have scheduled for the spring. Will that have an effect on those?
I don't anticipate any impact on the schedules that we have for those other projects. I know Wet West is still scheduled for next year, spring. And, yep, we're going to try to do more with less, or more with more. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address.
No, that's okay, Fred. I thought nobody else was over there.
Ricky Inch, 1301 Oregon Avenue. I'd like to thank everybody here in this chamber, people behind me, people here for taking some of these steps. You, Mr. Bolden, becoming a true blessing to our city. Also, I'd like to thank Harold Starr and Dave's here. It's amazing what is said in the paper. And one of the things I wanted to comment on, well, two things. Our tax money pays for public housing, a lot of different things that our government gives to try to help people who need help. So I hate to see that on the front page, but some of this had to do with Yonk, and I thank you, Yonk. Also, there's a rebranding issue concerning the city's future. And Teresa mentioned a couple things that a lot of this is common sense. And one of the things I did a while back was call 3 towing companies. And all they need is an authorization from a police officer through Chief McCafferty to tow a lot of these vehicles. They're waiting for calls. Some of the vehicles sit around for months. Also, this issue with garbage and trash. I saw a police car today. I don't want to tell you the number. Drove right by the corner where I live. There's 2 barrels that hadn't been emptied in a month. And they're overflowing. Now, I don't know what the issue is. Is it a union issue, or is it something that the drivers can't get? Because maybe we could place, what, Teresa, 30, 40 barrels we have around near the alleys where the garbage trucks go, because they have to back up and get to the barrels. It's an issue, but I know the barrels are being used. So I just want to tell you, at Oregon and Pittsburgh, there's 2. And, we're trying to rebrand our city, and whether it's the policemen or the garbage people or some council people and citizens see problems, if we can take an active thing in this, I think we'll all benefit. And I know Young gets on me a lot, and maybe someone behind this rail can make a concerted effort. One of the big issues that can help our city is the landlords. They're very reluctant to get involved because they feel a lot of the ordinances haven't been enforced. There's a lot of things happening with landlords in different issues. But I think Mr. Haggerty and his group want to get involved, but I think they're hesitant to get beat up all the time. So maybe there's a way that somebody, maybe Mr. Baldwin, you could approach Mr. Haggerty again. I know he talks highly of you, but I think he wants an actual request in writing, delivered, in a way that's official, because he represents about 100 landlords, and there are a lot of problems with some of the homes that the landlords have, but there's a lot of good landlords too. Also, I stood up here years and years ago. Teresa, Carl Angeloni, and I went down to Dickey Concrete Place. They were willing to provide cement. I went and talked to Billy Danoon. He was willing to provide the lumber years ago to help rebuild some of the sidewalks. I think I left the presentation here years and years ago. maybe we can pick that back up. I love this city. I don't, spend as much time here as I'd like to, but I would like to help any way I can. And tonight was very, very refreshing. And again, with the Herald Star and Dave helping us, a lot of people read this. We just need to get more people involved, like Young said. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address. If not, Mr. Bill, maybe you have a question?
Yes, Mayor. Well, I forgot to say something. I want to thank Mr. Barrett and the city crews for the job they did on Lover's Lane. That little bit of action that you tried to do there, that prompted a lot of phone calls to me saying how thankful they were and what a good job it was. And I wanted to say that earlier.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Magna. If there's no further business, Mr. Metcalf.
Yes, Your Honor, if there's no further business, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and second that we adjourn. Roll call.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Kershaw?
Aye.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Bonagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DeLauro?
Aye.
So moved.